Oh, it's just very until I do this boring.
How's it going?
Hey Graham, how you going, mate?
Good, thanks.
I think can you see my screen now, Graham?
Yeah.
Hey Stan Dog, how you doing, mate? You there, Stan Dog? All right, seems like Stan Dog can't hear us.
There we go.
Hey, can you hear us now, Ian?
Yeah, I got you now. I just had to sort my sound out.
All right, cool. Okie dokie. So one thing which you probably worked out already, we're actually not going to be able to finish the rankings tonight because there's actually one match outstanding from Wednesday night in second division. So I thought I would, I'll show you how, there's also a forfeit from last night as well. I think I'll just show you how to enter that forfeit in the pool stat and then set up the finals matches, because all of them are determined except for that one outstanding match actually has an impact, on the results. So I'll quickly show you how to do that in pool stat, and then I'll go through the rankings. But yeah, we won't be able to complete them because the frames from that last match go towards rankings. So
are you recording this one as well? Oh yeah, it says.
I think it says stop share. It did say recording somewhere before.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure when I set up the meeting, I elected to record it, and that last one we did, went for a bit over an hour, and I didn't get hit any bills or anything like that from Zoom. So I thought it would cut off at the 40-minute mark because that's your limit, but it doesn't seem to do that. So. I can't quite see my tabs at the top. So where are we? So I'm playing around with heaps of stuff here before. So So first of all, I'll show you how to do the forfeit, which was, I think, in third division, I think, from memory, maybe. Nope, must have been fourth division. You guys remember?
It was third, mate.
Oh, it was third?
Shaft 1 on 4.
Oh, sorry, I've gone to fourth again. Because there's actually a couple of ways you can enter a forfeit for an entire match. Draw. Oh, here we go, sorry. So the first way is you can actually go into the match sheet. Sorry, my internet's been a bit slow tonight. And you can actually, when there's no results put in from the live app, as soon as you open up the match sheet, it'll give a 24-0 win to the home team. You can select on the status and change it to forfeit, which changes all these statuses here to forfeit. The problem is doing it this way is you've got to have names in the team that received the forfeits, even though they didn't play. And then if I did that, there's a couple of extra steps which are required, which would be to because the way the bylaw works is the baseballs in this instance would receive a 24-0 loss. The shafted would receive 2 points and what their average frame percentage win percentage for the year is, and which I haven't looked at yet. There's in the bylaws. There's I think if it's like 50% or something like that, it's 13-11, 55 and above's 14-10 and so forth. I'll check that in a second. But the problem with doing it this way, if I click Save Sheet now, all these players in the shafted would receive individual stats. If it's a one-off forfeit on the night with a match that's played, you do get a win for the forfeit. But if an entire match is forfeited, the player stats don't get affected. So then I'd have to go back through. If I did it this way, I'd have to go back through and change the stats for everyone. I thought there was a workaround regarding this, but I can't remember what it is, and I'd have to ask the developer again. But the other way to do it, which is the way we'll do it now, is if you go back to the dashboard
That would be exciting.
and go to Team Adjustments, and this is the page where you can manually change the team's win-loss percentage and points. So when we have a bonus points for the captain's meeting, this is where you go to. And so these ones here are the points from previous meetings throughout the seasons. And all you do is you click on Create Team Adjustment. You select the team. So in this instance, it was the Baseballs. Their points don't change. So in these boxes here, whatever you put in there, it will add it to what's on the ladder. If you put a minus, it will subtract it. Excuse me. So frames for, they don't change. Frames against, we need to add 24 frames to their against. And then losses, you've got to add 1 loss. The only thing you can't do on this page here is change matches played, which when we do this, it'll show the shafted and the Baseballs as playing one less match than everyone else. There's no way around that, but it will still produce the correct ladder. So yeah, it's sorry, my wife's been annoying and handing me it's not annoying, she's handing me a beer. Go away. Sorry guys, see what I have to put up with.
Pretty hard life.
It is very tough. So, but before, I can do this one here. So once you do the correct adjustments, you hit create, and that automatically puts it in the system. It doesn't upload it to the actual live website yet. You need to go back to dashboard, and then refresh stats. But I won't do that just yet, so I'll do the other results. But I just want to check. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Oops. There's something wrong here. Sorry. I'll get used to this Zoom thing in a sec. So let's go to Pool Stats and see what their average was for the year. Which the shafted was 42%. So I'll then go to, so it should be a 13-11 win, I think. I'll go to Activa. And then dots. There's a table here. So this is the table here. So 0 to 54% is a 13-11 and then so forth. So they're in that first category, so they'll receive a 13-11 win. So let's go to Pool Stat. I might quickly, so we can publish all the results, which we'll need to do to get the stats for the other 4 divisions to do that section of the rankings. So I might quickly just go through and do the results for all the divisions, and there'll just be 1 match outstanding. I was actually planning to do this before this, but I ran out of time. I literally burnt my mouth trying to eat food. And young Jason Tanaskovic will be happy to know that he's still going to be ranked number one if you're interested. Yeah. Regardless of what happened last night, I think, unless he got none from 4 and I got 4 from 4, he was always going to be ranked number one. So he'll be happy because he's been hassling me about it. So when you go to do a division and it's not complete, it'll warn you of it, but you can still actually save the other sheets and publish it. It just won't show that result, obviously, because it's not done. The only other thing I'll have to do is adjust the date on the match so they can use live scoring on Sunday when they're playing.
Yeah. So did they contact someone to say that they would play on Sunday instead, or?
Yeah, so, well, it's Kath's team and Tolly's team. And, Tolly rang me and also Kath and organised it. And basically, if they couldn't get enough players for the suitable time, the Islanders would have to forfeit. But they come up with a time on Sunday, so I think they'll just play at their home ground, the Ruck, I think it is. And yeah, so typically what happens in that situation, they've got to check with the tournament director, and usually if the team that can't play on the night, if the opposition is happy to change it, that's fine. So you'll get this warning here saying it's not complete, it's one game complete, but you can still continue and publish the rest of the results. So, Ian, you did this last week without actually watching the video again, didn't you? Because I didn't have it set as public at the time. So you seem to have nailed it. It was pretty easy, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I thought it was. I wasn't sure I was doing everything right. It was only at the end when you go to the web page and you go, oh yeah, looks good.
I won't do that one. Yeah, that's right. And yeah, so it's really straightforward, as you can see, unless there's the forfeits is really the only thing, or if there's comments and you've got to adjust the results, that's the only thing you really have to do. That adds a little bit of time to it. So this will give me the same warning because that match isn't complete. But I'll manually update that in a sec. Forfeits. All entered. So here we go. This. So here's a little bit of a. It's not quite right. They've listed both forfeits in the last frame. So I don't know if that actually happened or they made a mistake. There's no comments. There's just a warning about it. So it's going to be annoying. Actually, neither of those teams are affecting the final anyway. So for now, I will.
Didn't I see some sort of message that said someone had contacted and said it should be 12-11 or less or something like that?
Was there something on Facebook? Was there
one of the messages we got last night?
Oh right. what was it? What did the message say that this, it was 12-11 was the final score, was it?
Yeah, just one sec.
Yeah, I got it here.
The Kickers 12 and the Chocoholics 11.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. So basically, they're, for some reason, whoever was A, Scott Gilbert obviously couldn't play the last frame. So in this situation, we just listed as an abandoned. You go here and go abandoned, no players, and then it will allow to save a score sheet that doesn't add up to 24.
Yeah.
Never knew dishwasher.
Which is all good.
Thank goodness.
Just go and publish this.
Why would they do that, you reckon?
Sorry, why did they do that?
Yeah, it seems weird.
Because there is the option on the live app to actually abandon the frame, so they made us not have realised that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Well, they obviously realise it. Well, when you click and change the status to forfeit, I think underneath that it says abandon. There's an option to select abandon, but maybe they just weren't sure.
Yeah, it's funny because the home team had forfeited that last frame anyway and forfeited the 6th frame every round.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see your point. Yeah. So they could have, well, obviously he left and they did the right thing and didn't treat it as a win when he wasn't there, probably.
Yeah, interesting.
They could have snapped it through somehow and just taken the forfeit.
So, just a quick question, Matt.
Yeah.
With buys, I assume no points get awarded for buys.
2 points. They do get awarded for 2 points get awarded for the buy, but that's already automatically set up in the initial config settings. It's called for the tournament or the comp, and so the system automatically recognises when the buys happen and give that the team that got the buy 2 points. So that's an automatic process if you set it up correctly at the start. So that's all the stats done. So now I just need to go back and give the shafted the 13-11 win. So I did the baseballs. So it's creating the adjustment, selecting shafted. So they get 2 points. Their frames 4 is 13. Their frames against is 11. They get a win, and the rest of it is the same. This public comment and admin comments, I don't know how it's set up, but it's pretty obvious. If you do a public comment, it goes to the live website and everyone can see it. An admin comment is just for ourselves to make a note of what it's for, but it's not really required, I don't think. So then after you do that, it won't automatically go to the proper website. So you just got to go here and refresh ladder and stats, and it'll force it to upload it to. Now this is a live site. So now see how the shaft and the baseballs, they've only got 11 wins. That's the only column you can't manually adjust. So I'll talk to Greg, the developer, to see if he can add that in so you can adjust it, because someone might go in here and go, oh, why are they only on 11? Someone cluey enough will work it out, but yeah, that's all right. So all this, the rest of this data is right. So yeah, it's all been adjusted correctly, and that's the order, the finishing order of that division. So, sorry. Let's go to second division. So yeah, it's got, the Whalers did play. So yeah, Motley Qs and Islanders, they've got to play. That's why they're on 13. And the way it works out, if I did write it down. So I think the Gringos are out. So if the Islanders win, 16, 18, that they will they'll go in the fourth spot. If they lose, the Whalers will retain fourth spot. So they can't catch the crackpots based on even if the Islanders win, their percentage is way behind the crackpots. So, it's not actually way behind, but 16, 18. Sorry, let's have a look. Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, it's 37 frames away, so they can't win 37 frames. So the crackpots will finish third.
Yeah.
So the venues for the finals are decided. That's just who they play. So that's basically that's all we can do for now. I've just got to go into that match and change the date of it. So it's this option, you go to the draw, unclick show all rounds, so you can go to it. And then if you go to edit games, and then go to the game you want to edit. And I think I'll have to check this because I can change the date here, but it's saying it's still saying schedule. That's all right. So I'll just change it to Sunday and save it. And what that should do, it should on Sunday the match sheet should become available. I'll just have to double check that's correct because there was one time that this happened and it was a process I didn't follow right and the live match sheet wasn't available when they played on a different night. So I might I'll get Greg, the developer, to have a quick look at it to make sure I've got it set up right. So yeah, that's basically it. But we can go through and do the finals games for each division, which I've written them down because they're all determined. So which I showed you last time, I've already set up the 3 rounds of finals. And it's just a matter of going to the elimination final and going into edit and then going to each match and clicking update. So we can change this one now to both teams are known, and the home team is the Embalmers and the away team's the Hammerheads. The venue is the Harmony German Club. So yeah, it's 1 versus 2, 3 versus 4, and 1 and 3 get the home ground advantage. German Club. Save. And the other match in First Division is Matildas and Chaos. At the Canberra Labour Club. So just on, so there is in the bylaws if the tournament director finds a venue not deemed fit for finals or trials, which has not many venues, but as long messages, the Roos Club tables are shocking, so that's definitely not fit for finals. And they want to play at Chisholm, which Chisholm's available. So there's no problem with that. That's usually what happens. If the team's not, if the venue's not fit, the home team, you give them the option to choose where they prefer to play as an alternate venue. Oh, sorry. And one thing for next week, the basement's not available, by the way. Mikey sent me a message yesterday to say that. So next week it's a neutral venue, which makes it a bit challenging without the basement available because you'd normally put a couple of matches there. But we'll have to deal with that next week. Division 2 is the DV8s and Motleys at Harmony German Club. And this one here, we can't complete it, but I can go home team, which is the Crackpots, waiting opponent, and that will be also at the Harmony Dream Club. So all this is doing is just changing what everyone sees on the website, and instead of writing out an email with where everyone's playing and what the draw is for the finals, you can just send them the link as normal and just direct them to go to which I'll show you here. Let's just go to any of the divisions on the website and just click finals. And for some reason, if I refresh that might work. Yeah, so then that's updated the finals already. Let's go back here. In Division 3, the mighty Budgie Smugglers are playing Demolition.
Just had to make sure we didn't go through without a loss. So we lost last night.
Oh, did you? How have you gone against Demolition during the season?
They're a bit sort of up and down.
Yeah.
Like, they're really good at just potting balls and stuff, but then, I don't know, if they don't get on a run, then they normally lose the game, I guess.
Yeah, okay. So second game is Pirates in the Docks. And that'll be at Southern Cross Club, Tuggeranong. So that's done. Dashboard.
All right. That's who we're playing.
Yeah.
So that's who we played last night, who beat us.
Oh, right. Yeah, so you're playing them in the first week in finals.
Yeah, perfect. I'd say regardless of who wins out of that, it'll be the same two teams in the grand final.
Yeah. Yeah, there seems to be a bit of difference between the other two and you guys. So in Div 4, we've got the Roos versus the Nevilles. And we'll put that one at Chisholm Tavern. So I'll just go check with Jenny if she's happy with that, which she usually would be. So otherwise she'll have no one there. And the other match is... Balls Deep and Raccoons. And that'll be at Canberra, not Kaleen. Actually, I think the tables at Canberra are pretty average as well, but no one's really kicked up a stink about it in the past. Last but not least, fifth div, we've got Chicken Bones and Felt Rippers. At Buffaloes. And Drop Bears and Buffaloes. And that'll be at PJ's. So that's all the results done. So just after Sunday, you just need to go into second div, go to draw, and then add basically the winner of that match. Well, not the winner, the result, and add them in here. So one of you can do that. That'll be great because I'll be in sunny Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
So after we've done this, you can go ahead and publish the results as you did last week. Maybe just make a comment that there's a match outstanding and that it impacts the Division 2, and it'll be decided on Sunday. I'm not sure what time he's playing, Kat.
2 o'clock.
They're playing at 2 o'clock. So they're super quick, so they'll be done by 3 o'clock, 3:30, maybe. Well, Kath actually gets home before me these days, which is amazing. It's my slow-ass team, I reckon. So, yeah, that's how you do the finals. That's how you manually put matches in. And, yeah, that's about it. So I'll quickly just show you some of the rankings. I've already started doing some of it because obviously you saw me stirring up JT about it. So I had to do part of the rankings to stir him up. So there's a, sorry, I'll go back here. In the Activa Dropbox folder, there will be a rankings. Each year there'll be a rankings sheet. And I'll break it up into when they come out. They usually always come out in April and September at the end of each season. And, well, I'll go back one step. So in April, I'll have 2. So there's the working sheets and then the ones you publish with everyone else. So at the moment, so when you're creating new rankings, I just obviously go to the previous ranking sheet. So in this instance, I went to the I went to the April 2019 and then opened it up and saved it as September 2019, which is this one here. Then so it's quite a big spreadsheet. There's lots of tabs along the bottom here. It's actually got ladies rankings on a separate tab, but I actually do the ladies and the masters in their own spreadsheet now. I don't link them together anymore. I probably should, and I might do that before you guys actually do this, because the ladies and the masters get the same points for Wednesday night as well. So it saves you changing the Wednesday night stats twice, basically. So it's got this front page here, which has got the previous people, and at the top here it's got a tab of all the events that we're getting points from. And there's heaps actually hidden from previous ones. So what I do is when I first open up, usually there's probably two new events to add to it. So at the front here, I would just add 2 more columns. This 100% at the top, basically the way the formulas work, it grabs that data. So for the current year, it's 100% of those points. For the previous year, it's 50%. That's why there's 50% at the top of those ones. So once you add them columns, you add the 100% to it and then what the name of it is. And the other trick to do early as well is copy the new. So before I did this, there was a new rankings, all the new rankings, which is the current rankings. I copy that and put it in the old rankings because that becomes old. And then once you do it all and you sort it all and you've completed it, obviously you go 1 down to whatever it is. Because occasionally, or the first few times I did that, I forgot to do that. I think I did all the changes, then I sorted it by the new one and I deleted the old ones. So I had to go back and redo it again. So I just do that step pretty early in the piece.
Yep.
The other thing is so once you add them in, I'll just go to the back end of it. So here, the blue ones are the winter season, div 1 to 5. This colour here, the orangey one, is the summer comp, which these numbers here come from another tab, sorry. And you get that data from Poolstat. Another trick, or one thing to remember to do, here for the winter comp, you'll see there's a formula here, which is searching Jason in this instance and grabbing his points from these 5 columns here. And there's always only, well, actually most of the time there's only one column with ranking points, depending on what division you're at. So it'll find, in this instance, 134, and put that in the cell for JT. The only other time there is a possibility that there's 2 numbers in 2 divisions when a player plays partly partly in one division for half a season, then changes to another division, which has happened, and then they'll have points in both divisions. But the way that works, they'll get a way less portion of their available points because they wouldn't have played as many frames in those divisions. So now So when you first come to set this up again, and if I was adding the winter comp in, which I did this last week or a couple of weeks ago, what you've got to do before you change, what's in the winter comp columns, which you do in the other tab, what you'll find is there'll be this one here, that would have been pointing to these 5 columns. So what you need to do is actually, at the moment, there's no formula in there, but there was. So before I change them, you go through and copy that whole column, and then copy and just paste the data, not the actual the formula, because then you can go here and then you can create the formula, which is just tallying these 5 columns, and then it won't change that previous division. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So that's another thing I occasionally used to forget to do. I'd go ahead, add it in here, I'll point it to the right point, and then I'll go over to this sheet here, which is where the stats all come from. I'll change this, and it'll actually change those 2 years of stats instead of changing the current year's stats. So you just got to remember to copy and paste it. So down the bottom here, we've got the 5 divisions in winter, and then we've got the 5 divisions of summer. In this instance, we're doing the winter. Now, this whole spreadsheet here and the 3 yellow columns, that's what works on a macro and a pivot table. So basically, once you'll see a flash when you go into it and back out of it. These, you never have to change the combined group or points. That's set up in a formula Jeremy did, which is based on the bylaws of how the points are distributed or allocated. So all you need to do is put the player's name, the team, the win, the played, and the rest of this. Once you click into another tab and then back into it, will automatically calculate it and sort it in order as well. And then that automatically goes over to the ranking points, and we'll go to, in this instance, the winter season. So it's reasonably straightforward. There's a lot of steps in this, but there's actually not much data entry. So I've already done this, but I'll do it again just to show you. If you go to pool stat, actually no, I've got to redo it actually. Actually, no, the easiest place to go is Activa, I think. And if you go to the stats, and you can just copy it straight from this page, you go to player stats on pool stat, and you can copy the whole data from here, but you've got to, when you copy this, you've got to make sure you copy the headings, otherwise it won't paste correctly, and you've got to copy all the data, otherwise it will paste it all into one cell instead of pasting it over to multiple cells. So let's go down the bottom. So copy it all, and then you've got to actually click on one of the highlighted, right-click on one of the highlighted names, and then copy it. If you click not on one of the hyperlinks, it doesn't copy it correctly for some reason. Graham would probably know why that is more than me.
I don't know. Computers.
Bloody computers. So once you copy that, you'll see in each of these divisions, second, third, and up to 5th, there is a yellow cell over here. If you just right-click on that, one other thing it does, when you go in and out of it, it locks the spreadsheet. So I've got to go back. I've got to make sure I'm on the tab that I want to paste into before I go copy the stats. So I'll go back and copy this again. And then now if I right-click on the yellow yellow cell, and then you've got to select the right one, which is match destination formatting. And that hasn't worked, sorry. So sometimes it just doesn't, it's a bit temperamental. You've got to make sure you actually highlight everything, and sometimes it comes down to the bottom one. So this is something I've asked Greg to do, be able to export this to Excel. You can export it to a PDF, but you can't export it to Excel. Sometimes if you're not quite selected the whole lot, it won't. So I'll do it again. So it comes up with the different options. But I'm pretty sure it needs this one. Copy. So what that did, it pasted it all in one cell, but I want to paste it. I did it again. I'll try to copy it the other way. Why is that? I was playing around with this before and it actually was working. It's all about how you copy it to be able to paste it, and no, that didn't work out. I'll just try to delete this stuff that's in there and see if that makes a difference. I'll try again. So this is probably the hardest task of this, is actually copying it. Oh, that's right, because I wasn't all the way over here to the right. I was only going to this column here. You got to make sure you go all the way over. So now it should work. I'll go in here and then paste it. Voila, it worked. So once you paste it and start it at that yellow box, it automatically grab where you've pasted it. These team names, player name, win, and played automatically grabs it from this right-hand side. So I click out of it and back into it. That's all. Oh, it's done something wrong. It should automatically do it, but for some reason it hasn't. Sorry, just bear with me. Come up with an error for some reason. Why is that? Doesn't like it for some reason. So let's try to do it for second division and see if it does the same thing. Oh, actually, I've got the third div for second division isn't finished. Oh, shit. So hopefully it'll work. So we'll paste into that yellow box. Doesn't like it.
Remember that? Sorry, we just said it last night, folks.
So as you can see, it's a little bit temperamental sometimes. Some more way over, so it should work.
Marshmallows under or no?
What's on the bird?
Burnt.
Oh, I don't know why it's doing that. That's annoying. This is going well.
Oh, no. That's dinner. Voila.
Ah, no, se lo how to start. Thank you.
So I'm going to have to find out and ask Greg why this is. I know it's something to do with Chrome or what it is. Let's go back out of it and go back into it again. So here. So here. Okay. So I did that exactly the same way as I thought I did the first 4 times, but that time I actually pasted. So I've actually, so in PoolSat, the data, it doesn't actually have a frames played column, which this spreadsheet over here needs it. Solved it. Actually, I have. It's only that it's only for the first division I've set up to be automatic to grab the data once you paste it. But the slow way to do it is you can just go through and copy and paste it into the columns, the correct columns. Frames 1. So this is some of these sheets I haven't set up properly because it's only been obviously me using it. But it's easy to set up a formula, so when you paste it over here, it automatically grabs it. And I'll just quickly. That's that. Frames played. So hopefully this should work if I click out of it and back into it. Yeah, so that's worked correctly. That's given the correct points based on the right formula, and then that ranking points will go back to this column here. So that's why all these first division players at the front haven't got any stats, because it's not worked it out for some reason. So basically that's the step to do it across 5 divisions, and then that'll automatically allocate all the ranking points to a relevant player. The only other step to do is, you'll see this column here says already in rankings. So sometimes there's new players, and obviously if there's a new player in this sheet, it won't recognise their points in this column because their name's not on this sheet. So the way I've set it up is that where these stars are, you've got to go down and see, make sure they're all got a star next to it. Now here, there's this one here hasn't got one, which is Pete Smith. And this is where I mentioned before, when sometimes people write their names differently, so it needs to find the exact match. So in this instance, I know the reason it's not finding Pete is because in the rankings, it'll actually be Pete Smith. So we'll write Pete Smith, and now it's found him in the rankings. Now it'll allocate the correct ranking points to Pete now. So it's a matter of going down through, and most of the time, the reason I won't find it is because their name's not correct. Like Phil Thorpe, so that'll be it's Philip Thorpe, but in the rankings it'll be Phil. Tony Fleming, so here's a new one. So Tony's not in the rankings; he hasn't played for years. So it's a matter of copying his name, going to the bottom of the rankings. And pasting him in the bottom here. And it's not picking up any points at the moment because in that division there's no points. But if I go down to Tony, where was he? Tony Fleming. Now he's got a star next to his name because he's in there. Mark O'Neill. I thought he was already in there. Does he have 2 L's on O'Neill? Oh, that's a little Irish, isn't it? Oops. Oh, I know what it'll be. No, maybe not. So sometimes, I'm pretty sure, and this is what you learn over time, I'm pretty sure Mark is in the rankings. So I'll just go through and try to find him to see how his name's written. No, maybe he's not in there. I'm sure Mark's played for a few seasons, I thought.
He definitely played last season.
Yeah, definitely.
So I may have missed him last season, which is a bit dodgy, but that's not finding him. Mark O'Neill. Yeah, he definitely played last season. So I'll have to check that. Yeah, it's finding him now. That's really weird. I'll have to apologise to Mark. Well, he's only played. He'd be very low ranked, so wouldn't bother him. Here's another one. It's got Doug Percy in the rankings. He's Douglas. Scroll. Rollinson, he's actually just Scroll, I think, in the rankings. Yep. Jamie Peterson, he hasn't played for ages. He's in my team. So he's just not in the rankings. Oh. So it's a matter of adding him. So yeah, and then you can delete these ones here. So after you make sure everyone's in each a particular division, they're in the rankings, it's just a matter of going through. We'll go to third division now. Yes, following the same process. It's got Jeff Etchler. It's pronounced Eichler, is how it's actually pronounced. And it must be spelt wrong in here because I'm pretty sure that's how he spells it. Yeah, it's got Elchler. Is actually, so that makes it a bit tricky because there's other formulas that are searching the way it's spelled here. So I can't just change the spelling here because it'll affect other things. So I'll have to fix that up. But just for now, I can actually, where is he? If I change that to the incorrect spelling, it'll find him. But I'll undo that because I'll fix it later. So I won't keep on going with this, but so most of the time they're in there. And sometimes they're new players. You just add them to the bottom of the rankings. Once you go through and do all the divisions for that season, you know everyone's in there at that point because you've checked it. There's obviously people that haven't played. Actually, that's showing 0 because most of these are first division. So there's one step I forgot to mention. The ranking points column, which is everything sorted off, there's a formula in here, which at times the percentage by what the person's points are for that particular event, and it goes all the way through to the last event in the last 2 years. So what you have to actually adjust this formula, because once you add new columns in, it won't pick up the new columns. So it's a matter of just going in and change it. So if I do it now, just for an example, if I add a new column here, if I go to that formula, it's not picking up the new column. So I would have to go to the front of the formula, and it's the percentage times the cell of the particular event, and then you've got to hit plus. So this is something, even if you're not familiar with the formulas in Excel, you can just copy basically what's there. Now that,
And you've got to make sure the dollar's on it.
yeah, you do, because so it when you're copying and paste it, it stays the right spot. Sorry, that's not that one. So it's just adding that. So if I added 2 columns, you'd have to add 2 columns to this formula. If you want, you can take off. So there'll be also 2 columns that come off the end. You can take that off, or you can do is, say if we did that and we wanted to get rid of the summer comp, you could just change that to a 0 and it won't calculate anything. Or you can change the formula. What I normally do is I change the formula, and so it doesn't recognise this column, and then I'll hide that column. So if I unhide this, you'll see heaps of other events that used to be calculated back to 2012 we're going back to. So it saves you scrolling across years and years of data, basically. So I'll just hide that again. So when we can actually complete these, I'll go through it again. I just want to give you a little bit of a touch on it, and you can jump on and have a play around with it if you want. So go back here and I'll just delete that column. I'll just change that formula again because it's been deleted. So yeah, that's really the process. It's usually on those 2 columns, and then you'd go along here. A couple of these might still be at 100%. You just got to change them to 50% if you're replacing it with a current event. And that's really about it. And once you know you've got all the data right, which it's sometimes you're never 100% confident that you've got everyone in there. For example, as you can see, I missed Mark. That's probably because I did it as quick as I could to get it done because I was busy. But so yeah, after you do that, I just sort the rankings column by largest to smallest, and then I'd go through here and put the new ranking positions down to however many members we've got. And then once that's ready, basically I've got another sheet that links to this sheet to the published rankings. So then it's a matter of saving that one as the new rankings, and then you can send that out.
Right.
So yeah, that's about it. So I'll have you guys got a particular day next week that suits you better to actually do this properly. When first of all I'll fix what's there we go. That first division is working now. So I don't know why. There was obviously a glitch in there somewhere, so I went back here. Now it's finding the points properly. So you can see that's how close me and JT were. At 12 points or something. Anyway, I told him he was second, so he'll be expecting that he's going to be second. Anyway, I'll show you this next week. The only other thing to do is, in this instance, so we've basically done the winter season. Once I copy and paste the rest of the divisions in, is the doubles, which, again, that's pretty easy. It's just a matter of going to the doubles main sheet, which should be filled out. and it's a matter of copying, which this one is, the final position rankings and ranking points. It's a matter of copying that data there into, going back to the main ranking sheet. You'll see right at the end there's a 2018 doubles. So it's a matter of changing the name of that to 2019 and pasting the players' names in, and then the points in, and then this sheet here at the moment, well, here's an example. So at the moment, this 2018 doubles is going off that tab I just showed you. So what I have to do here is I have to go through and copy all this. Before I change that sheet to the latest one, and you do this the same for the seasons as well. Just copy it all, then paste just the values, and then it'll put the numbers back in, but it won't have any formulas that are referring back to the doubles tab, wherever that went. Over here. So when I go ahead and change this, it won't affect that column. But all you need to do is then set up the correct formula in the current doubles to point to that sheet, and then it'll automatically grab the person's points if they played in the doubles. So I'll show you that a little bit more next time we do this. So yeah, back to my question. Is there a day next week that suits you guys to finish the rankings?
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night? Why aren't you playing, Stand Dog? You should have a look at that. Did you avoid relegation?
No.
No? Oh, bugger. All right. You're getting relegated. So we can't do Wednesday night because two of us are playing. I'm on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I usually don't have much on. I'm usually at home. So AM suits you better?
Tuesday's the best one for me, but Tuesday and Thursday are fine.
All right, I'll just have a look. I'll make sure. I think that'll work. Sorry. Oh, look at that. Tuesday's free. Yeah, so I can do next Tuesday. Does that suit you, Ian?
Yep. Yeah, no, that's cool.
All right, cool. Well, I'll send you a link to do another one of these, and we'll finish off the rankings. So you want to use his right to publish the results and make that note about the one match outstanding.
Did you want to do that again?
Yeah, I'll have a crack at it again, mate.
Yep. Cool. So
I guess once we've gone through all of the sort of handover stuff, we'll do a proper sort of delegation for who's responsible for what or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's best for both of you to kind of learn the whole thing, and then you guys can work out later who wants to do what and delegate what tasks everyone does. So that's all good.
Sweet.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you next week.
Sweet. Thank you.
All right. See you guys. Bye.